I use Android for years, Samsung Galaxy phones, different models. And like a lot of people, I was curious about iPhone, but wasn't sure if it was worth the switch. 4 years ago I made the jump to iPhone 12 Pro Max, and honestly I haven't looked back. So today I'm breaking down the real differences between iPhone and Android based on my actual experience with both. What I loved about Android, why I switched to iPhone, what I miss, and who should choose which one. This isn't a fanboy take. I've genuinely used both and I'm going to be honest about what it does better. Context: my phone journey has been all over the place. I started with Android around 2010, Samsung Galaxy S, then Galaxy A5 and some others, but I was also experimenting with iPhone. My first iPhone was the iPhone 5. I love the design, the camera was really developed for that time, and the simplicity of iOS was refreshing compared to Android. Then I got the iPhone 6 for a few months. After that, iPhone 8 Plus. I was gradually spending more time on iPhone, less on Android. Then in 2021 I made the full commitment iPhone 12 Pro Max, and this was a strategic decision. I wanted to get serious about content creation, and the iPhone 12 Pro Max had the camera system I needed. Instead of buying a dedicated camera to start, I bought this iPhone. Having all in one device, great camera system for photos and video, powerful performance, everything I needed. And if I got more serious, I could buy a dedicated camera later, which I did. But the iPhone 12 Pro Max, that's been my main phone for 4 years now, and I haven't looked back at Android since. Let's start with what Android does well, because it's not a clear-cut choice. Android has real advantages. First, freedom. With Android you don't have restrictions on downloads. More apps are accessible even once outside the Play Store. You can sideload apps if you need to. You are not locked into one ecosystem's rules. Want to put a custom ringtone on your phone? Easy on Android. Want to access multiple file types? Android handles it, it's just more open. Customization on Android is incredible. Theme support, you could change entire themes on your device, natural, classic, casual, romantic, whatever aesthetic you wanted. Private mode to hide content, multi-screen for split screen work, quick connect for sharing and streaming. Android gave you so many ways to customize your experience exactly how you wanted it. File transfer was easier on Android. It could read more file types. You had actual file system access like computer. For someone who works with a lot of files, that freedom was really valuable. And let's not forget, Android gives you choice. Budget phones, flagship phones, different brands, different features. You can find exactly what you need at exactly the price point you want. So with all those Android advantages, why did I switch to iPhone? Let me break it down. The biggest reason, the camera. Specifically for content creation, the iPhone 12 Pro Max camera system was and still is incredible. Color, saturation, but especially video mode. In my opinion, iPhones have the best smartphone cameras for video. Other companies like Xiaomi are catching up now, but in 2021 iPhone was miles ahead for what I needed. I needed one device that could handle photography and professional quality video. The iPhone 12 Pro Max gave me that. It replaced the need for dedicated camera when I was starting out. Second reason, the simplicity. iOS is just easier to navigate. No bloatware, no random apps I didn't install, no ads popping up from nowhere. You know what you have and where it is. Everything is intentional. Coming from Android, where I spent time customizing and tweaking things, iOS felt like I could just use my phone instead of managing it. Something clicked for me mentally with iPhone. My brain started doing tasks simpler. I felt like I had everything I wanted in one device, organized the way it should be without having to think about it. Performance, Apple's chips are incredible. The iPhone handles tasks faster and better than any Android I've used. Apps open instantly, multitasking is smooth, everything just works. But here's a game changer, the ecosystem. And this is probably the biggest reason I stay with iPhone now. My iPhone, my Mac, my AirPod, everything is connected. AirDrop a file from phone to Mac instant. Copy something on my phone, paste it on my Mac, it just works. Start something on one device, finish on another. Seamless. For content creation and design work, the integration is massive. I take a photo or video on my phone and within seconds I'm editing on my Mac. No cables, no cloud uploads, no friction. The ecosystem actually works as well as advertised, and once you are in it, it's hard to leave. Creative apps also does work better on iPhone, whether it's design tools, photo editing, video apps. The iOS versions are usually more polished and integrated. Of course, iPhone isn't perfect. Let me tell you what frustrates me about it. Some apps have limitations on iPhone that they don't have on Android. You are locked into Apple's rules for what apps can and can't do. Sometimes that's annoying. Every year we don't see much change in the design. iPhone 12, 13, 14, 15, they all look basically the same. Android phones are experimenting with foldables, different form factors. Apple is safe except with the iPhone Air this year. And let's be fair, Android still does some things better. You can install apps from outside the official store if you need to. Side loading gives you freedom. Developer level tweaks custom ROMs. If you want to really customize and control your phone at a deep level, Android lets you do that. iPhone doesn't. File management is still more flexible on Android. If you work with lots of different file types and need computer level file access, Android is better. Is iPhone worth the price premium? Well, yes and no. High-end Android phones are at the same price range now. A Samsung Galaxy S series flagship costs about the same as an iPhone Pro. So it's not really about expensive iPhone versus cheap Android anymore. It's about what you value. Both cost similar amounts at the high end. Quick note on battery life. Honestly, I think most smartphones last about the same now. There are a few exceptions, but in general, if you are using your phone normally, you are getting through the day on both iPhone and Android. Battery isn't really a differentiator anymore unless you are comparing a brand new phone to a really old one. Will I ever switch back to Android? I've actually been thinking about this recently. The only circumstance where I'd consider it for sure is if there was an Android ecosystem that worked as seamlessly as Apple's. Everything connected, phone, laptop, earbuds, all talking to each other without friction. Now there are apps that can handle some of that integration, but they are third-party solutions. They are not built into the OS, and that's the difference. So for now, as long as I'm using a Mac for work, I'm probably staying with iPhone. The integration is too valuable to give up. Although never say never, because I'm very interested in Xiaomi 17 Pro Max and nothing phones. So, who should choose Android and who should choose iPhone? Let me break it down based on what you actually value. Choose Android if you value customization, if you want themes, widgets exactly where you want them. Total control over your phone's look and feel. Android is better. Affordability and flexibility. Android has options at every price point. Budget phones are actually good, mid-range phones with flagship features, high-end phones that compete with iPhone. Google integration if you live in Google's ecosystem with Gmail, Google Drive, Google Photos. Android integrates with those services natively and better. Hardware innovation. If you want foldable phones, unique designs, experimental features, Android is where that's happening, although some of them blow up. Openness and control. If you want to sideload apps, use custom ROMs, tweak at a developer level, Android gives you that freedom. Choose iPhone if you value simplicity and polish. If you want a phone that just works without needing to customize or manage it, iPhone is better. Long-term support. iPhones get software updates for way longer than most Android phones. Your iPhone from 2020 is still getting the latest iOS, that matters. Apple ecosystem integration. If you have a Mac, iPad, Apple Watch, AirPods, the integration is unmatched. Camera quality for content creation. If you are making videos or photos for social media, YouTube, professional work, iPhone's camera system and video quality is still top tier. Security, of course, and privacy. Apple's approach to privacy is generally better, and iOS is more secure out of the box. Here's a question I get asked. If you were on a tight budget, would you buy a used iPhone or a new budget Android? I actually did this. I choose a used iPhone and I do it again. A used iPhone that's a few generations old still gets software updates, still has great camera, still works with the ecosystem. A budget new Android phone might have good specs, but the camera is usually worse, software updates stop after a year or two, and the experience isn't as polished. If you are on a budget and you value longevity and the ecosystem, buy a used iPhone. If you are on a budget and you value having the latest Android features and customization, buy a new budget Android. So that's my honest take on iPhone versus Android after using both for years. Android is incredible if you want freedom, customization and choice. iPhone is incredible if you want simplicity, ecosystem integration and long-term reliability. For me, iPhone works better. The ecosystem with my Mac, the camera for content creation, the simplicity of just using my phone without managing it, those things matter more to me than the customization and freedom that Android offers. But that's me. If you are someone who loves tweaking, customizing, having control over every aspect of your device, Android is genuinely better for you. The best phone is the one that fits how you actually use your phone. Not the one with the best specs on paper, not the one your favorite YouTuber recommends, the one that works for your life. That's my experience with iPhone and Android. If you are trying to decide between them, I hope this helped. Let me know in the comments which side you are on. I'm curious, and if you want more honest tech content like this, subscribe. See you in the next one.